Footy is back. Well, at least it is for round 12, I'll tell you that much. G'day, I'm Essendon stalwart Paul Vanderhaar. Wait, no, I'm not. I'm James Clements. I don't look anything like Paul Vanderhaar. Nor have I actually ever played AFL football. But either way, this is the AFL Today Show. We are here to make footy a bit fun. That's what we do. It's the greatest game in the world already, but still, don't have to take it too serious, do you? Anyway, joining me for this Teams Thursday show, just a single weird little dingo just hanging out there. One full-blown footy nuff. Some would call him an AFL expert. It's the stats guy, Liam McKellen. What's going on, stats boy?
There was a lot of words to describe me there. Yeah, I'm very excited. North aren't playing this week, as I mentioned earlier in the week. So bye week, I'm all for the bye week when North. I don't have to watch my team struggle.
Your Wednesday glee during yesterday's show going, my team's not playing, hooray!
Usually I hate it, but this year I'm like, I need a break.
It's like, wow, how do we improve on 0-10?
Yeah.
0-11.
Have a break. Have a break. Go to Bali.
Just have a week off. Yeah. Either way, before we get into the rest of the show where we preview every single game for you this round, we've already done the Thursday night footy Power Blues one on yesterday's show. We'll go over it very quickly here. Mm-hmm. But before we do that, remember to subscribe across all of the YouTube channel gear, all the socials, all that fun stuff, and across all of your podcast apps. Why wouldn't you? I mean, seriously. You're really, really just yanking on the old chain at this point if you're not subscribed. I mean, seriously. Because footy's back. Let's do some news, stats boy.
Let's go.
Mid-season draft. I know that you were, all on top of this because your beloved North Melbourne are very, 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 very bad. And you have the number one pick in the mid-season draft.
We should be mid-season draft experts because we've had the 1 to 3 pick the last 3 years in the mid-season draft, and we continue to pick the wrong people. Geordie Payne, I think everyone said that he was the best player. He probably was the best player. We don't need another midfielder. There's this guy, I was like, halfback. I wouldn't mind a halfback. Now he's transformed into a midfielder. I'm like, we don't need a midfielder. North, I don't know, Brady Rawlings has been the list manager for North for a long time. Definitely need a key tall. Someone to help Suva. Someone to help our backman. Yeah, so I was a bit disappointed with that.
I feel like this is you just challenging Brady Rawlings to a fight.
Well, he is pretty skinny, so it'd be a very,
And you're also very small.
I could take him. I don't know, he's also old.
This feels like a pretty even match in my books. I don't mind it. But I love his reaction. Like, everyone else is like losing it. He's like, I'm pick number one. And everyone's like, yeah. And he's sitting there going, oh, God.
I don't know if it was shock. Maybe I'm being a biased North fan.
He came out after and said, I was just like, I could not be happier. I'm stoked.
But it did look bad.
And it looked horrible, dude.
Oh, why'd I have to get picked by North?
You are a potential number one draftee. I feel like you should have at least half a brain in your head to understand how you should react. Yeah. There's no dearth of footage of people being drafted
at least
in
hug
the
your mum or
world.
something. He was
just
like,
sitting
hey,
there. Number one, let's go. I'm awesome. I also love that his name's Geordie Payne, which is what Newcastle fans went through all this year, stats boy.
That's a great, football reference there on Football Today. We might have to get you on the show.
That's why they call me EPL Jim.
I wasn't expecting that at all.
Come on, Villa. But I love that reaction. I love that his family was super stoked, and he's just like, no, man, I don't want to go to
I don't know, maybe he was trying to be a bit too cool or something. I don't know.
Don't try to be too cool. Yeah. It's very easy. It's just like, I'm stoked. This is awesome. The best reactions, though, he should have the best reaction, I think, the draft ones is like the
do a flip.
Russell Wilson's former partner. She's just like, oh my God, it's amazing. And the best of the best was CD Lamb when he was drafted in the NFL.
Yeah.
His Mrs. whatever was sitting next to him, and she's like grabbed his phone. He's like, no.
Oh.
I'll take back my other phone. He's on 2 phones.
He's burner.
Yeah, she grabbed the burner. Don't be grabbing the burner.
That's
anyway, the best name in the draft was
Kelsey Ripstra. I saw that for the Dogs. BT will be absolutely loving that in the commentary. I just thought of you as well, Jim. You love a good name.
I love a great name.
Ripstra.
Shadow Brain just got a new challenger.
Not as good as Shadow Brain.
Shadow Brain is still the greatest.
Who's the other one? Steely Green. That's a nice one.
Love that. Kelly Ripster. It's basically Kelly Ripper, right? The US TV talk show host. That's fantastic.
Oh, what a reference that is.
And also, my favourite one, though, was the bloke who got drafted to the Pies, Iliro Schmidt.
Yep.
Or as he's better known as, Big Roo.
Well, by himself.
Love this. I love having tickets enough on yourself to go, yeah, I've got my own website. Why wouldn't you?
He made his own website. It was pretty interesting. He was a former BMX rider. Then he is a music artist, so he had his link to all his songs on there.
Love that. Who's not a music artist, though?
Yeah, true.
I'm the songbird of our generation. So. Whoa, Hollywood, bam.
You've released more songs on our podcast than actual artists, I'd say.
That's probably not too far from the truth, actually. There's a lot of, and to be honest, on NBA Australia,
We'll get an album,
my
maybe.
catalogue is pretty deep. You should, to be honest, there is an NBA Australia Christmas album that absolutely smashes that I completely came up with. It was awesome.
I haven't heard that one before.
The first squid was born that night was, the day after that was released. It was like Christmas Eve. I'm frantically uploading it, and like old mates going into labour. Yeah, it was awesome.
And you were doing a Christmas album.
Doing a Christmas album. Good times,
That
great
is-
memories.
that is hilarious.
Get it at Brashes and CC Records and Tapes. Anyway, the other big news popping off the last couple of days is Hothead Clarko. Jeez.
Will you ever learn?
Get
What
a
is he
brain
doing?
in your head, you idiot.
Oh.
Alistair Clarkfold over there, in trouble again. He's out there abusing umpires or it basically seems like it was the
Or
match
staff
officials,
or something.
right?
Yeah.
So essentially, if he is found guilty of conduct unbecoming, and I think if you're screaming at umpires,
Maybe don't do that. Yeah.
that might be conduct unbecoming of a
Yeah.
coach.
He's
Just
already
shame.
in a suspension. So
And that's
yeah.
the point.
That's
It
what
would
you're
trigger
getting
the
to, yeah.
2-match suspended sanction that he was given in the preseason against St Kilda when he let rip into like Higgins and stuff on St Kilda, wasn't it? Who was it?
It was what's his name? The guy who
Somebody
knocked
got
out
smashed.
Simpkin.
Yeah, that's right.
I
It wasn't
forgot his
Higgins,
name.
was it anyway?
No, but he was having a go at a few Saints players as well. Yeah.
Which was, I don't know, just the latest example of Alistair Clarkson going off his rocker at people and doing very dumb stuff and using what was referred to as vile language, which also brings up my favourite point, that Tom Morris reporting on folks using vile language. That's a fun game.
Tom Morris doesn't have a good record
What's
with
this
that
over
stuff.
here?
Yeah.
Is that a glass house? What's that over there? It's a stone. Woo! Good job, Tom
That is a
Morris.
good point.
Good journalism.
Yes.
That's big J journalism, that one.
Big J.
J-E-R-N. Ism. I love that. But either way, look, they will investigate this, and we saw on Fox Footy that it's like tonight. Well, what was it? Alistair Clarkson is tonight under investigation by the
Yeah, you get
AFL.
your English right.
But it's a fascinating setup because Clarko, obviously, the Roos are on the bye this week. We have 4 teams on the bye. We'll get to that in 1
I
second.
thought we were going to be out of the news. Now Clarko does this.
Clarko just
We're
can't
back in
stop
the
it.
news.
It's like, we need just a circuit breaker to get the Roos out of the spotlight.
I know.
You're not playing this week. Everyone forget that your team sucks, stats boy.
We
And now
haven't
you've
been
got
in the news for
Clarko.
anything positive for a while.
I was hoping Suva would kick 150 goals.
I know. That would have been nice.
Anyway.
That would have been nice.
And the other last little bit of news was Fev. Stats boy, take it away.
Oh, there's just been a lot of articles. I was like, a few people are saying Dusty might be done after game 300. Every article, the only quote in the article was Fev saying it on his radio show. Since when is Fev the voice of reason? And everyone's going, well, if Fev said it, he was a great of the game. He kicked a lot of goals. Yes, he might have talked to Dusty once, but I don't trust him saying he's going to be retired after game 300. There's other journalists saying that he might retire after game 300. I don't think that's going to happen. He seems like he's still loving playing for him, as he showed on the weekend. So, yeah, I don't know about that. 2 games away from 300 Dusty is.
I do love this because, like, when you say sources say Duster's thinking about retiring, it's like the source is Fev.
Yeah. Other people have said it.
The
But
source is when he said it on the radio.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he was just like, you know what, I reckon he'd retire after 300.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good idea. Anyway, tap, 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 tap. Oh, Dusty might retire after 300. You're like, all right. If he does it now, that's going to be awesome. And Fev's going to look like the world's greatest Nostradamus. Nostrafevsis?
Not sure. Yeah.
Fevstradamus? That's better.
Fevstradamus, that's it.
Anyway, let's do some game previews.
Why not?
Game previews. Thursday night footy is on in a couple of hours. Port Adelaide, still 6.5 point favourites against my beloved Carlton Blues. The teams came out last night. No changes for the Blues lineup that beat the Gold Coast Suns last week at Marvel. This is, of course, out there in Adelaide Oval. But for the Port Adelaide power, Charlie Dixon, back after being managed. Soldo comes in for Jordan Sweet. Francisco Evans, love that. C. Rosé goes back out. And Willie Rioli is out as well
that's
for that
big
injury.
out.
It's a big, tough one. I think the over-under was like 155.5 for this game.
Yes.
And it feels fine. I think just because, look, I talked up how Carlton can probably put up enough of a score that Port Adelaide get over. But it does sort of scream like, 87 to 86. And that'd get you over your 155.
Both defenses are, pretty strong. You got Savard. There's a big Port defense that'll actually match up okay against Carlton. And then you've got some forward outs for Port, which will help Carlton as well. So it probably should go under the over-under.
I'm interested in this one. It's going to be a fascinating game. I'm still taking the power by 8. I haven't changed from yesterday.
Not your, you haven't got your Carlton cap on?
Well, we do have like the Carlton scarf in here that we didn't throw on the table.
Oh,
but
yeah,
anyway.
that's all right. Or the footy.
What
What are we doing? We forgot about
Dropping
the
the
footy.
ball. Either way, literally. But Port by 8 was the pick yesterday, just because the simple fact, I think, at home, at Adelaide Oval, where Carlton have only ever beaten Freo.
Yeah, they're literally 1-7 there all time. Never beaten an Adelaide team.
Haven't beaten an Adelaide team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not great. So I'm still going to go with the Port. Power. I think they're just like they're solid across all sort of lines. Even without Rosie, you've seen the Hornets step up. We talked about it on yesterday's show. Still Port. Stats boy.
Yeah, same reasons as you. I think Port as well because Jason Horne-Francis literally lifts when his teammates are out. So, yeah, I don't mind that one. I'm going to go Port by, what did I say on here? Port by 13. I'm going to be pretty close. As the footy comes into shot, we love
Look at that.
Got a footy in there now.
been
Port by
champ.
13. Both go on Port, but I was tossing and turning. So many tips this week are really hard. So, and this is one of them, I reckon.
So with the 4 teams missing this week being the Swans, GWS, the Roos, and the Lions, it is a really interesting setup where it is incredibly very, very, very hard right off the bat for all of these tips this week.
Yeah.
Like every game is awesome. Should we just get rid of 4 teams? Let's go.
Well, to be fair, you take out North.
Take away St Kilda, North,
Yeah.
and the Dogs, and we're done there.
Yeah.
And every fan of that says, "Oh, come on, Jim.
Yeah, don't
What
do
are
that,
you
Jim.
saying, man?"
I won't come in.
That's right. We can punt Freo into the sea as well. But with those 4 teams missing, we do get a solid, weirdly interesting Friday night game at Marvel.
Yeah.
Cue the whinging from the Collingwood fans because the Pies are hosting the Bulldogs, and the Bulldogs are favourites. Why, you might ask? Injuries.
Injuries, yes. A lot of injuries.
Plenty out. Pendles is the latest out. We talked about it on yesterday's show as well.
Yep.
The over-under for this one with the Dogs 2.5 point favourites is 170.5, which feels fair, but I think it's a bit under the roof, right? Like we've seen the Dogs put a half-decent scores at Marvel this year.
I think it's also because Norton is out. So
Yeah,
that is a big. He's been their best
that is a good
forward.
call.
But Jamara, definitely a little bit inconsistent. He can kick a goal. You got...
He can kick a goal.
Yeah, or multiple goals. I don't know why I said he can kick a goal. Harms has done pretty well under the roof as well, which has been a bit of a surprise. But yeah, I think that's about right, 170.
I think it was the Dogs Hawthorn game was like 91, 98.
Collingwood don't have any forwards as well, which is probably...
88, 102 against Sydney.
Okay.
I
That's
feel
well
like,
over then, yeah.
I feel like they're probably the 96, 67 against the Bomb Rays there. 91, 95 against Geelong. So I feel like most of their games at Marvel have gone over. So I'm probably going to go over in that one.
Yeah, that's right.
You got some stats for us there, Stats Boy?
Yeah, why not? Actually, talking about the over-under, I forgot I had that in there. Last 7 matches between these sides have actually gone under the total
come
points.
on, man.
I should have said
what are you
that.
telling me now? Now I look like an idiot more than usual.
No, you've actually backed up your point with a few
Absolute
little
stitch
stats.
up. Absolute stitch up.
But yeah,
Killing
a
me.
lot of these teams, when they match up, go under. And then Pies have actually won 4 of the last 5 meetings against the Dogs at Marvel. But they are 5 and 6 their last 4 years there. So 4 of their last 5 wins at Marvel were against the Dogs.
So I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that helps if you are tipping the Pies.
Nice one, which I am going to do in a second. But this was a question we sort of brought up during the Midweek Madness show.
Yeah, I chucked it in
The
there,
big
yeah.
question for this game is, should the Pies bring some people out of retirement to fill up their team?
They've got so many outs.
It's getting very, very, very thin on the ground for the Pies. I'm sure Paul Courier and Dane Swan.
Daisy Thomas is actually playing for the Div 12
Daisy's like,
Rezzies
just
on
put him-
Friday night.
Get me in,
Can he
son,
play
get me
both?
in.
Also
I
play for the
reckon he
Pies?
could.
Yeah, you might do a hammy, but yeah.
Might struggle to play in 2 places at once.
Yeah.
But either way, I think they're like Sav Rock is back in
Ooh,
Collingwood at the moment.
Leon, that'd be cool.
Oh, get Neon Leon back there. Let's go.
Prime Leon.
But the big question, obviously, here is like the Bulldogs. If you like them to win, and I believe you do,
Yeah.
this is like just the latest case of absolute chaos Dogs years, right?
Like, are they good? Yeah.
Are they good?
We don't know.
Like, if they win this game, you're kind of like, are they good? I still don't know. Like,
I know.
how would it still be we don't know if they've just beaten like a half-decent team in Collingwood,
Yep.
you know, the reigning premiers? That's the quandary that you find yourselves in as a Bulldogs fan this year, right? They're 11th on the ladder. They're 5 and 6. If they won this game, they'd be 6 and 6 after 12 and feeling pretty good about themselves, but they probably shouldn't because you're bad. You just
I don't
quit
think Dogs fans would feel good because they never feel good until they're in the finals or yeah.
Well, the Norton injury is like the real sort of
That's a
kick in
big
the guts.
injury,
But
yeah.
the weird thing for me is like wondering whether or not that sort of opens it up a little bit more for Jamara and just go, yeah, he's the focal point. He and Sam Darcy, off you go. You don't have to worry about Norton. Oh, it's okay. He's going to lead up the field a bit more. Who cares? Just kick it to
True.
Jamara. He'll kick 6.
Or
and away you
Sam
go.
Darcy might kick a couple, yeah.
Cody Waitman would be really handy to have in this game, I tell you. But
he's
either
big
way,
out as well.
my pick is still the Pies. I think just Pies by 2.
Close one.
I just am struggling to see. I do feel like if the Dogs win it, they win it handily, and the Pies just never look like they're in it.
I agree.
But
yeah.
I feel like the Pies drag this back into the mud, And the Dogs, when we've seen them get into those sort of games and they just end up losing them. So I'm going to go the Pies.
Ooh, I'm going to
Pies
go
by 2.
Pies by 2. I'm going to go against you. I'm going to go Dogs by 20. As you said, I think the Dogs can kick away. They can kick a score over 100. I don't think the Pies are going to kick more than 70 or 80 in this one just because they don't have enough forwards. Literally, all their I haven't looked at their forward.
Harvey Harrison's going to kick 3 more.
He has to kick like 5 for them to kick a decent score. Or their mids. Dacos might have to kick a few off half-back or off the midfield. So Bulldogs by 20. They were really good against the Swans last week. Very unlucky. They had no bench pretty much in the second half.
Very true.
They that Vandermeer 50 that shouldn't have been paid, that stopped their momentum.
Yep.
They could have beaten Sydney at home. I think this is a great away game for the Dogs being at Marvel. If this was at the MCG, Collingwood, I'd be tipping them every day of the week.
You would be all over it if it was at the G. But yeah, they're under
they're
the
happy
roof.
that it's under the roof. Yeah. So
I just think the Pies can just, drag it down, drag them with them.
Yep.
Saturday, we've got another bird bowl.
Yes.
God,
I
love a good bird bowl. Just go
Bird
out
bath.
there, make a bird bath for yourself. The Hawthorn Hawks take on the Radelaide Crows, the Crom. 3.5-point favourites are the Crows, which is a bit of a head scratcher considering that Hawthorn have hit a rare vein of form.
Yeah, no, very good.
guess.
They're in great form.
Well, they just smashed Brisbane.
Yeah.
They should have beaten Port.
Yep.
They killed St Kilda the couple of weeks prior, and they beat the Dogs. They should be
They
on
should be-
a 4-game
They
winning
should.
streak.
They've covered the line the last
But
4,
for
yeah.
33 seconds against the Port Adelaide Power,
Ugh.
they aren't. So the flip side to that, obviously, is that Adelaide have looked a lot better. But I think, 4-6-1 for the Crom.
Mm-hmm.
And their last few weeks is smashing West Coast at home last week as a get-right game after losing to the Pies.
Easy one, yeah.
The weird draw against Brisbane, which will be the world's most forgotten draw because Collingwood keep getting into
Yeah,
draws.
Collingwood got 2, yeah.
And they smashed, you take it all the way back to showdown against Power, and you're like, so are they any good not at home?
Not this year, no.
And we don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know.
They
Yeah.
nearly beat the Pies, sure, but they didn't. They beaten your horrible, horrible team
Exactly.
in Tassie.
No, yeah, that
They
doesn't
did
count.
beat the Blues in that just weird, stupid game at Marvel, which might be the one
Oh,
thing,
yeah, true. Yeah.
earlier this year that I took the Squid to that just sucked. But that was also Carlton.
That was a great
going,
game, yeah.
we any good? And then Carlton just go,
Oh, we don't know.
don't know, man.
Don't know.
And Jordan Dawson played out of his skin.
Yes.
But they do have this fascinating team. I keep a very close eye on the Crows. I think they're an interesting team this year. 4-6-1 is a weird sort of
They're
position
exactly
to be
the
in.
same as last year, which annoys me, the Crows.
Losing Rankine is still the biggest kick in the guts you could ever imagine just because he was being so good this year.
Yeah.
To the point where he's in all Australian mix for our rolling all Australian teams that we broke
in
down
my
yesterday.
team? Yeah.
And you've got the likes of Rochelle and Fogg and Tex. Tex has barely, I feel like, really gotten going.
Yeah.
It's like last year was such a weird blip and he sort of turned back into the Tex that was before that. But they're still very good. It's like the likes of Lockie Scholl and Saligo and stuff like
Saligo
that.
especially has been
smashing it, right?
awesome. Yeah.
So this is a really fascinating game. But for a simple stat, I'm going to probably go the Hawks because
Ooh.
what's going on with Adelaide of the G stats?
I am going against my own stat here, but Adelaide have lost their last 9 matches at the MCG. Haven't won there since 2017. They've had a couple of really close ones, which everyone remembers, against the Pies. They've had about their last 3 games against the Pies were all just under 3 points or something. So they've actually played all right there, but they just can't get a win. They can't get over the line. But I'm still leaning towards them, I think. Yeah.
I'm going to go the Hawks because I think
Ooh.
they go to the G. They've got some injury queries of their own. But the big question for this is which of these sides has the more exciting future? Flip side.
I'm so torn on that. Yeah.
Could either of these teams make the 8 still?
How many
Question.
games behind are they? You got 3 and 2. No, I don't think so. I think I rate Gold Coast, Freo, Carlton, and at their best, the Bulldogs are all better than them.
You need a pretty
Yeah.
big drop off for a couple of other
Yeah.
teams. And this has been the big problem for Brisbane, who obviously we don't talk about this week because they're on a bye.
Yes.
But for Adelaide and Brisbane to be on 4 wins at this point
That's
of the season,
crazy,
it's
especially
just like,
Brisbane, yeah.
It sucks. And it's like you already have been tagged with 6 losses. You
Even
do
if
have
that was 6 or 7, you'd be like, oh, they can make finals.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
Like if you're in Freo's spot in 9 at 6-4-1,
Still be pretty confident.
you'd be feeling all right. But the Hawks being 4-7, and with that atrocious 82.8 percentage, it's a pretty long bow to draw. But I think they win this. They've been playing really, really, really well.
Very
And
exciting,
considering
yeah.
that this is at the G, where the Crom are just not that good, obviously,
horrible,
having
yeah.
not won there since 2017. I think the Hawks can actually win this, so let's go Hawthorn.
Ooh, I'm gonna go against you again. I'm going Adelaide by 8. There's so many tips that can go either way. This round is great because sometimes we have a few of the same, but we haven't really had
Feels
the
like
same.
this should be some sort of sandwich bet.
Yeah.
Whoever gets the most right
tips.
this
Oh,
week.
I'm
Let's
happy
go,
with that.
Stats boy.
I'm happy with that. I'm going
Go
around the
Hawks by
tips.
12.
Yeah, I'll go Crows by 8.
Nice one. All right, then we go out west. So that's 145 at the MCG, which is like, okay, sure, that's your Saturday. Another cool thing about missing 4 teams this week, no overlap.
Alex will absolutely love that. He always brings up the overlap.
There's a man who loves his laps. West Coast are 3.5-point favourites.
First time West Coast have been favourites in a long time.
The West Coast Eagles, stats boy,
Crazy.
are 3.5-point favourites against one of last year's finals teams. Unfortunately, that team is the St Kilda Saints.
Ooh.
Eric Banner just punched a wall somewhere, you know that. 4:30 out there at Optus Stadium. Over-under's 152.5, which feels like a slap in the face because I feel like if the Eagles are going to win this,
They can kick a score, yeah.
they have to kick a score.
Waterman.
The big problem is St Kilda tend to not. So
Yeah.
it's a really, really strange matchup. I love this because where are they on the ladder? It's 15th versus 16th.
Yeah, this is...
They're both 3 and 8.
But these are the most fun games sometimes.
Just
yeah.
imagine that though. Like if you came in this year, well, you see, Jim, in round 12, we'll have a matchup between St Kilda and West Coast, and West Coast to be favourite, and they'd have the same record. You're like, get out of here.
What if I told you, Jim?
Get out of here, Eric Banner.
I think it's more rare that West Coast are going in favourites after losing by 99.
It's pretty good.
That is unbelievable.
But the thing is, they've been really, really competitive, obviously. At home.
They're at 6-goal difference.
Everybody knew they were going to go to Adelaide Oval and get smashed by the Crom.
Yep.
And they did. So here we go. They go home. They've got a really weakened St Kilda team. And this is the game that we keep referencing, last year's game when they went west, the Saints. We mentioned on yesterday's show how I was sitting in the pub, deleting a pint, the Squid's eating, deleting some chips. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to do it. And like they tried so hard to
really
lose that
close,
game to a much worse version of the Eagles that it's really hard not to feel pretty vaguely excited.
Yeah.
Pretty vaguely, that checks out.
Vaguely excited. I didn't know you could
pretty
be
vaguely
both of
excited about this game and about this team, right? Like, it's kind of fun. It's kind of weird. The Saints, in terms of like kicking scores,
Not great.
62 last week against the D's, 55 against the Dockers, 64 against the Hawks, 103 against the Roos. Doesn't count.
Yeah.
72 against the Power, 64 against the Dogs, 79 against the Giants, 67 in a win against Richmond.
Oh, yeah, that was ugly.
Oh, God. 67 against the Bomb Rays, and they...
That's just every Ross line.
What are we doing here?
He loves
Like,
ruining
absolute
footy
chaos.
games.
So this team can't kick scores. The over-under is showing that, 152.5. Let's talk about some stats, boy.
Oh, why not? Saints have lost 7 of their last 8 away games, so that might also come into why West Coast are favourites. But they have won their last 3 at Optus, but that includes when West Coast were going really bad. They beat Freo once as well. And then, as you mentioned before, West Coast were up by 31 in this game last year. They were tracking a lot worse this time last year.
They are so much better this
They're so
year.
much better.
They're so much healthier. They've actually got some of their veterans playing pretty well. The J train is like dominating.
Yeah. If they get up by 31 again, I think they're going to hold on instead of choke like last year.
I mean, you think about the setup of this West Coast forward line alone looks so much more dangerous. So between Jack Darling and the J train,
Jack Darling's done,
Jack Darling's
but
cooked.
everyone else has gone, right?
But like having McGovern back there, out
the experienced
there,
guys are
just
not
having
injured.
those dudes, Duggan and Kelly and co.
It's a fun team.
I'm going the Eagles, but either way, before we do that, answer the big question. Can Harley Reid, whoa, Harley Reid, bam, a lamb, can he stiff arm every Jack on this Saints team?
That's what I put in there because there's a
like
lot
this.
of Jacks.
We've got a lot of Jacks on this team.
Could he just
Steele,
stiff arm all of them?
Sinclair, Hayes,
Higgins?
may as well. Oh yeah, Higgins as well.
I'm trying to think of
We
those
could throw
more.
Zach Jones in there as well.
How's
It's
Zach
basically
Jones
Jack.
gone in there? Jack. Jack
basically
with a
Jack.
Z. What?
It's like a silent Z. Sure.
Aka.
But either way, that's a lot of Jacks, and I reckon he can do it.
Yeah, you predicted the other week with him stiff arm and
The
Christian
fact that I
Petrarca.
called the fact that he stiff armed Oliver and Petrarca, I'm like, let's go.
I think he has to do. He did one last week when.
We put Rochelle to the ground.
That's what it was.
Like,
And Rochelle's a big guy.
Alex and I were literally in these exact
Yes,
spots,
yes.
live reacting to that, and we basically fell out of our chairs. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, Eagles by 28, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I think they just run over the top of this horrible,
28?
horrible Ross Lyon team, and way louder questions start popping off about Ross Lyon. I've got a little bit of a vibe on that for big call as
Okay.
well.
I'm going West Coast by 15. I think it'll be a lot lower scoring than some of the other games at West Coast just because Ross loves ruining footy games and making it really low scoring. So I don't think it's going to be a big margin. It will be around 80 to 60 or 70. So yeah, about 15.
All right. Saturday night footy. We're going to Geelong because the Cats are, this is a, I was going to say a different word, but it's a feline fight.
Yeah, good save there.
Insert thoughts there. 45.5-point favourites are the Cats against the Tigers. Down at GMHBA Stadium, 7:30 on Saturday night. Ideally, this would be a really fun game, but the way Richmond have gone, they're 18th and 17th in offense and defense stats. Boy, that's one of your stats.
Yes.
The Cats are 2nd and 13th. The Cats, however, have some weird difficulties down there at GMHBA.
Yeah.
It's been a bit strange, but the over-under is 173.5. For all their woes, like the Tigers have had sort of games where they've not really been horrible. Like last week against
they
the
were
Bombers,
really good.
They pushed the Bombers right to the edge.
Yeah.
They did get absolutely gabatoir smashed by the Lions a couple of weeks ago, and the Dogs before that, and the Dockers before that, and the Demons before that. So I feel like the under might be the vibe here, just because Geelong have these weird up and down games against whoever they're playing right at GMHBA. At the same time, from what we've seen against the Tigers, the Cats could cover this over under themselves.
Oh, possibly. I think, the Cat, if you're going to go the over, you'd have to bank a Cats like 120 plus score. Otherwise, it's not going to go past 173.
It's going to be a fascinating game, though. So give us some more stats there, Stats Boy.
Another one is Tigers. I remember Dimmer never liked traveling to Marvel. Well, they complained, I remember at least 10 years ago, about going to Geelong. Oh, we should be playing Geelong at the G. They haven't played at GMHBA Stadium for 8 years. Or 8 seasons, sorry. Yeah, including this season. So 7 years, which is unbelievable. And they just really inexperienced. None of their players would have played there. So I don't think. Or very, very few.
Well, Camden McIntosh has been playing since the
there's a few older ones. I take that back. But still, very inexperienced there.
That's a good question. Has Dusty played in Geelong? I'm sure he would have.
He probably would have, unless
he's
like Sicily. He doesn't go to Geelong.
That's it. Sicily's like Tassie. No
Tassie
chance.
or Geelong.
Dusty's like, oh man, Geelong, too many memories, man. Crushing at Lammies.
Oh, he's only played there twice.
There you go. That's cool.
Averages 22 disposals. There we go.
It's funny that they're 1 and 10, and it's like, all right, now you get to play in Geelong. It's like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but they're like, oh, we had a good week. Oh, we have to play Geelong.
But this is a 7 and 4 Geelong team that has lost 4 on the trot. It seems important to remind everybody of that. But this is also a Richmond team that just keeps getting smashed. So I don't know. I feel like they'll put up a little bit of a fight, but then they just get completely steamrolled. So there's another stat there you've got about the over-under there, Stats Boy?
Last 5 matches between these two sides have gone over the total points, but Richmond have been pretty solid the last 5 years anyway. So that's probably why it's gone over. They also had Tom Lynch the last couple of times they played against each other. So yeah, I don't think anyone in this Richmond team is going to end up putting up a big enough score.
Nice one. Big question. Who wins a fight between Hawk and Dusty? Tomahawk versus Dusty.
I don't think Tomahawk has that dog in him. Dusty does.
Dusty's
but
definitely got the dog
Tomahawk
in
is
him.
like double the size of everyone on that
That's why
field.
I like the combination. I'm like, 2 dudes who are about to be like 300 plus games, etc. 2 veterans, 2 champions of the game.
The other thing, it's like those when UFC first started, how they had the biggest guy
big
versus the
dude,
smallest
tiny
guy.
guy.
Like, because Tomahawk is way bigger than
He's
Dusty.
like, come here, you. And Dusty's like, you can't catch me.
Or Dusty bring out his chopsticks that he got in trouble for a while
absolutely
ago.
choke him out. I want nothing to do with Dusty. I'm going Geelong by 36 in this game.
Ooh,
I think
okay.
it
Not
should
a smashing,
be
or a little bit of a smashing.
I thought it was going to be more of a smashing. I think they sort of just let him into it late. I wanted to go higher, but then I'm like, Geelong have not been wildly convincing. So 4 straight losses. They get right, though, in this one. What about you, Stats Boy?
Yeah, I'm going Richmond to cover the line, but by 0.5, apparently. Geelong by 45. I'm going, but I think that's still a pretty big smashing. But yeah, it's not going to be like your 60 plus, which a lot of people probably think it is.
Nice. Right. Sunday Arvo footy. 1 o'clock at TIO Oval. What is it, Traeger Park?
Well, I wrote in here, I Googled it. It's actually TIO Oval 2. What Melbourne, I knew you were like, Melbourne, what? They're not allowed to play an Oval 1 in Alice Springs? Anyway, that
Alice
just made
Springs
me laugh.
actually got the nice one, but
That
it's
just
like,
made me
it's
laugh.
Melbourne and Freo. They can play the crap one.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I don't know. I don't even know if there is an Oval 1 anymore, but
Traeger
if you
Park.
look it up, it says 2. I'm like,
So we've got the Demons and the Dockers playing in Alice. Interesting matchup. I think, so we've seen Melbourne play in Alice obviously a little bit.
Yeah.
And we've had like a sideways rain game basically, like monsoon
Really
sort
hot
of gear,
games, yeah.
super hot stuff. 1 p.m. Sunday game feels weird. I'm like, I feel like these tend to be night games as well.
yeah, there's been a few Saturday night ones, hasn't there? Yeah.
Over-under's 150.5 because Melbourne,
What's the
look,
weather there?
they've actually cranked up the offense here and there. As I mentioned the other day, they ripped off 100 against, was it the Saints or whatever last week. And Freo are very up and down when it comes to offense. I don't know. It's a very strange matchup. The Demons are 11.5-point favourites, and that feels right after the Demons' last few weeks.
Yeah.
But I feel like Freo are sort of poised to have a little bit of a bounce back. I
Ooh.
don't know, just think
Possible. They've been tracking pretty well.
the over under though just sort of stinks. 150.5. It's like
I think it's because it's always like muggy there. I'll have a look at the weather for you. I'm going to go meteorologist mode here. 19. So it's not even that hot. Usually
perfect weather
it's
for footy.
perfect. Yeah,
Let's
so
go.
I don't think that. I think that over under, even though two really good defenses, should go over that.
All right, give us some stats, boy.
All right, Melbourne 4-5 all time in Alice Springs. I thought they would have played a few more games there, but pretty bad record considering it's their second home ground. And then Freo, they've covered the line in 7 of their last 8 away games, and the away team has won the last 3 meetings between these two. So yeah, Freo might help your call.
I like that.
With Freo winning.
The second and third best defenses.
Yeah, so that's why
big.
I think it's 150.5 because Freo, Pierce has been killing it. Luke Ryan's been killing it.
Smashing it.
Their defense is awesome, and then you got May, who's awesome down there for the Demons.
It's gonna be May. 7 of the last 9 Freo games have gone under. That tracks as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Freo by 8. I think once you get Melbourne away from the G or something, I just don't trust them at all. I think they are 7-4. Freo are 6-4-1. The D's, they beat the Saints, but they lost to the Eagles 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Out west. I don't like them on the road. They lost that weird game to Carlton where they came flying back. Truck nearly got them the win. They beat Geelong. They smoked Richmond, but that's at the G. They lost to Brisbane at home. They're having a very strange year, even though they're being vaguely successful. So I'm going to go Freo. I kind of like them a little bit more.
That's right.
So 8 points. Let's
Nice.
go. The Dockers. Heave ho, way to go. Get
The worst
Jim,
song.
Get Jim a win, and away we go. All right, stats boy.
I'm going against you again. Melbourne by 6. We're going against each other.
Haters gonna hate. I like this.
How many have we got?
Probably out of the
at least 5.
Out of the 7 games, we're probably going to have 5 different.
Yeah, that's good. I'm happy to do that sandwich. But Melbourne by 16. Freo, I'm pretty sure I've only played there once or twice ever.
I don't know, man.
Melbourne are 4-5.
Bailey Fritch's hair's getting in his
He'll
eyes.
get in his way. It might be a
gonna
bit
too
sweaty.
slippery and moist.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're tracking a little
Greasy
bit better.
conditions there in Alice. I don't know.
Melbourne by 16. Not going to be too greasy, I don't think.
All right. Then finally, the final game of round 12, because we only have the 7. Gold Coast, my beloved Gold Coast Suns against my beloved Essendon Bombers. Who do I pick?
How many beloveds do you
A
have?
house divided. What do we do, Stats Boy? Because Gold Coast at home are like my favourite team in the AFL.
Gold Coast and Darwin.
Non-Carlton division.
Yeah.
And Essendon are just the best team in the AFL right now, and I love everything they do. They cannot fail. They will not lose again this year. So I have to still go with my beloved Bomb Rays, obviously. But this is 4 p.m. Sunday. Gold Coast 5.5 point favourites against the Bombers.
Yep.
The best team in the AFL. 100. Swans,
You keep
every
saying-
Swans fan is just punching. Jim, give us credit. I'm like, never.
I think every Essendon fan's probably going, why is he saying that? He's going to jinx us.
Why? It's not a jinx. They're the best team in the AFL, Stats Boy.
there you
But anyway, 153.5 is this over-under, which is a fascinating one, right? Because you got Gold Coast that has these really crazy high-scoring games where they deleted Geelong, put up 164 or whatever it was on them. Essendon play a pretty wide-open style. They've had a pretty handy sort of run, obviously. They are dominating. They are awesome. They're 8-2-1. What does this do? Does it go over under? What do you think? Because I think back to that Roos game.
I'd go over, yeah.
It was that was 106 to 66.
That was in Darwin, but yeah, it still went.
Roos Bombers.
Oh, sorry, Roos Bombers. I thought you said Roos Bombers.
And so the Bombers have
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
not blown the doors off teams. I think if you look through their last 6 weeks or whatever, 96 against the Dogs, 78 against the Crom, 85-85 obviously Anzac Day, 77 against the Eagles, 82 against GWS, 106 against North Melbourne, a.k.a. the East Keeler under 14s mixed netball group, and only 86 against the Tigers. So
I think I'm still going over. Just
feel like the
both these
upside's there.
forward lines are in form. I think you got Ben King, he's crushing it. You've got Langford, Stringer, and then you've got all the mids that have been kicking goals for the Suns. Yeah, I'll be going over. 153 seems just 10 points too low. I reckon.
yeah, it's weirdly 153.
Yeah. I looked at the weather. It's not raining or anything.
Even if the
I don't know.
Bombers sort of get to that sort of, as I just rattled off, right, 82, 86 or whatever.
It's going to go well over. Yeah.
Give us some stats, man.
All right. Gold Coast 6-1 at home this year. That includes the Darwin games. Also won their last 10 as home favourite. So they're going in as a home favourite again. And then Bombers, they are undefeated in their last 8 meetings against Gold Coast. That includes a draw. So that was a weird draw. I can't even really remember that draw. But yeah, they have a really, really strong record against Gold Coast, especially up in the Gold Coast as well.
Nice one. The big question for this one, We didn't actually ask the last big question for the last game. Will it be raining?
You asked that, I think.
But I basically got to the weather.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, I want to know, like, whenever they play in Alice, I'm like, what's the weather?
What's the weather?
What's the weather? Is the weather good? Play, weather. It's weather game. It's weather footy. Every time they play in Alice, the weather has something weird going on.
Crazy, yeah.
Anyway, the big question for this one, should this match decide if the Suns permanently just move to Darwin?
Yeah, my theory on that is if they lose, then
Move to Darwin.
Move to Darwin.
Because you
If they
don't
win,
lose.
That's
you
all
win,
right. All right,
you can
stay in
stay
Gold
there,
Coast.
stay north.
Yeah.
Just don't play any games.
Or just look at the weather from both places and then decide.
Yeah, they can't play any games like lower than like. There's got to be some sort of like latitude or something.
The
like
equator,
It's very clearly like where they start sucking. Like,
We
it's
should
like,
look into
we
that,
can't go to
actually.
Gosford.
I might look into that.
We're not playing any games in like, I don't know, Newcastle.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. But I like this idea a lot because, you know, I'm really firmly on the Suns train if
Darwin
they're playing
Suns.
up north.
Mm.
But how do I choose in this game? Well, the Bombers, as I've already said, they're not going to lose again the rest of this
How are you
year.
tipping the Bombers?
Bombers by 6. Let's
Wow.
go.
They do have a really good record up there, but I'm going Gold Coast by 12. We're going against each other again. Gold Coast by 12. Obviously, 6-1 at home. I think they're going to get the job done.
Nice one. That's all the previews. We are going to have all the teams at the end of this show as well as we rattle. We'll just basically punch through every single matchup with all the teams.
Yep.
Big calls for round 12. First one is Jezza kicks 8.
Oh, we're both going the same game here as well.
Oh, are we?
yeah.
Nice one.
'Cause
All right, other big call. Ross Lyon should be fired after the Saints get absolutely smashed by the Eagles.
Ooh.
He's not going to,
No, probably because of money reasons as well. But
but he should.
He should. Okay. Fair enough.
Because if they get
They shouldn't. Yeah.
if they get smashed
They
by
probably
West
shouldn't
Coast,
even lose, really.
They shouldn't lose.
But they will.
should be substantially
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
But they're not at the moment.
No.
It's very weird and bad because you're bad, St Kilda. Stop being bad. Bad boy. Eric Banner again, just like, oh,
Eric Banner's
geez.
not happy. Yeah, yeah.
So angry.
Jez's going to kick 8.
Jez is going to kick 8. I think this.
Wow.
He's like had some
What's Geelong's
weird
weather?
couple of weeks, and he's also missed a lot of sitters.
He has.
It's been
which is
weird,
very
right?
rare for him. He's usually a dead eye.
Anyway, your big call of the week, stats boy.
Yeah, Geelong focus again. I'm going Grind Myers. Messi.
weird way of pronouncing
Grindle
what?
Myers, sorry.
Grind or Messi?
Grind or Messi, Grind or Myers. We'll have 25 plus disposals and 6 plus goal assists versus Richmond.
Jeez.
He's career high in goal assists is 5. He's got the most ever goal assists last season, which was 41. I think he's going to get his career high. I had a look at who has had the most ever goal assists in a game. It was Stevie J. He had 10. I don't think he can get 10. That's a bit of a jump. But 6, I think, is pretty doable, and 25 plus disposals.
I like this.
Because it's going to be in their forward half a lot. He plays as that, like, 5th on baller, set up a lot of goals. Yeah,
Good one.
it's nice.
Grind, Chris Paul, Myers.
Chris Paul,
Nice.
yeah, he's the assist king.
What are we keeping an eye on in round 12? This is going to suck. I can't believe Carlton has to play the first game of the week where
With
they're like,
the new
we're
rule."
changing the rules.
Yeah, yeah.
And Carlton's like, oh, come on, man. We were going to lose this game anyway, but now it's going to be wildly more
If
frustrating.
something bad happens tonight, they might actually change it from tonight to the next game. Like, that wouldn't even surprise me.
This week, it is awesome. So as we broke down on yesterday's show, the winners and losers for this week are very clearly the 4 teams not playing.
Yes.
Because they don't get impacted by it. They also probably don't get accustomed to it, but at the same time, you can watch it and
play
probably figure it
normally.
out.
Yeah, yeah.
But the teams that are playing on Saturday are so much more, like, I don't know, benefited by the simple fact that they're playing later in the weekend because Thursday and Friday's games are just going to be like, the umpires go, when do I blow the whistle?
Yeah.
Do I blow it? Oh, they said to blow it up. And it's like, I got to
no.
blow it earlier. It's like, he didn't. What are you doing? He's over there.
He's
It's just like, they're just going to be the brain
The
farts.
ball's over there.
It's
Yeah.
like, it's up the other end now, you moron. What are you doing? Oh, it's so hard to be an umpire. Is it? Is it that hard? Anyway, point being,
Yes.
I think everybody's going to be keeping an eye on the holding the ball calls.
Mm-hmm.
As we broke down on yesterday's show as well, I think it's simply more frustrating the improper disposal sort of rules that lead into holding the
I'm
ball
hoping
calls.
that it sort of mixes in. I think I said that yesterday. That might come
Just
into
make it
hopefully
better.
just some more common sense. Yeah.
What else are we keeping an eye on? If Richmond's effort last week was a one-off or not.
Yeah,
That is a
chucked it in
really
there.
good call because as I sort of listed off, right? they
Like
got
Sydney,
smashed,
that was a one-off.
Smashed,
Yeah.
smashed. Oh, they're not bad.
Mm.
Are they going to get smashed again?
Mm.
Or I do love that there's also the about face. I'm like, Dustin Martin's cooked. Oh, no, Dusty's back.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
One
One
game.
game.
One game.
If he
dream
plays well
time.
this week, all right, might be back.
Trelaw against his old side. I love this. So
A lot of beef there, yeah.
One of the super coach picks that I had for this week for the little tab special was like Trelaw 30 plus. It feels like almost a lock because he has been shredding
Yeah,
it
averaging like 34 or something.
completely under the radar. I don't know why. It's probably his role. It's not like this super glamorous role. He's not
not as
super
damaging, but he gets a lot
glamorous
of it. Yeah.
But I think against his old side, with a bunch of those older, headier dudes out, he's going to revel in trying to tear him to shreds.
40 maybe.
Which would be kind of fun. And keep an eye on everything Clarko. I want this weekend
Here we go.
just an eagle eye on Clarko.
Oh,
Can we
Clarko cam.
can we just get like one of those door cams just out the
That's
front
an
of his
invasion of
house?
privacy. Come on.
Just some sort of drone out his window, just watching him punch a wall every time they say something.
Yeah.
Just he'll be blowing his lid every time they... Because we know that he hates the umpire stuff as well.
Yeah.
And now he's like abusing umpires. Just imagine what he does at home when he's week off.
Yeah, there's just a wall in one of his rooms. That's the punching wall.
Yeah, the punching wall.
I heard Libba used to have a punching
I
wall.
love a good punching wall. That'd be awesome. All right, should we go through some Supercoach tips, vibes, thoughts?
Why not? Why not?
Or should we just go to the teams right now and come back with Supercoach right at the end?
I reckon Supercoach right at the end, actually.
All right. Let's do some teams ins and outs right now. All right, before we finish up with Supercoach, let's do some teams ins and outs here. Stats Boy, they've just released Collingwood Dogs on Friday night footy. Markov, Bytel, The Forgotten Man, Ash Johnson, Jeremy Howe.
That's a nice in the list.
Finley McRae as well. In for the Pies. Out goes Edward Allen's Pendles. Myercheck, Joe Richards, breaking Supercoach. Hearts here.
That's guttering.
Mason Cox as well. He's broken off into myriad Voltron pieces, I reckon.
Yeah, he's got surgery.
In for the Dogs, James O'Donnell, Simon O'Donnell's son. Rory Lobb, who had to apologise again for just being, I don't know,
Weird.
a Rory knob.
Yeah,
but
he's
anyway,
weird.
Lachlan McNeil as well. In for Anthony Scott, Norton, who's obviously injured, and Ed Richards.
Richards
who
and Norton are big outs.
big outs for the Dogs.
Mm.
Still why I kind of like the Pies a little bit there. Hawks, one change. Reeves in for Lloyd Meek.
Big downgrade, I think.
Tough
but-
one.
Yeah, because
Tough
Lloyd
one
Meek's
for
been
Meeky.
great. Yeah.
He's been fantastic. No changes for the Crows. Eagles bring in Harry Edwards, Matt Flynn, Andrew Gaff, and Jack Petrocelli, which is pretty awesome. Love that for the Eagles. Out go Hunt, Rotham, Dewar, and Williams. For the Saints, member Tim Membry. I member. Hunter Clark and Dan Butler. Pretty big ins.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Dabar's been average, but if he has a bit of a spark.
Out goes Stocker, Cooper Sharman, and Lance Collard.
Mm-hmm.
Cats bring back Gary Rohan. Mark O'Connor. In for Mark Blixavs and Jai Clark, both suspended. Solid. I
Yeah,
don't
Gary
mind that
Rollins
for the
a
Cats.
big in. He always fires up at the Cattery.
Tigers, Ryan Mansell, not Reese. Jack Graham, Caleb Smith. Out goes Shai Bolton, Dean Presti, the Meatball, and Steely Green. One of the great names. That's a shame.
Bolton and Presti are out. Oh.
Caleb Smith makes his debut. That's kind of nice.
Nice.
For the D's on Sunday, extended benches, don't forget. Jack Billings, Bailey Laurie, Daniel Turner, and Ben Brown come in for, we're missing Rue for the D's. That sucks. Freo, Michael Friedrich, Neil Erasmus, Sam Sturt.
Sturt and Frederick, I like that. They'll kick a few more goals because of their in.
And then finally, Suns Dons. How am I going to pick this game, he says. Stupid Sexy Flanders is back. Got over the illness.
Thank God for Supercoach.
We'll talk about illness again in a second. Rory Atkins, Sam Day, Will Graham for the extended bench. Out goes Jake Rogers.
That's
Another just kicking the guts for super coaches. I'm just saying.
This is not good.
Ben Long plays his 100th game as well. For the Dons, Harrison Jones, Nick Bryant, Archie Roberts, Jai Menzies on the extended bench. Out goes Nate Caddy with an illness after making his debut last week.
Yes.
Remember, the Bomb Rays, they had an illness sweep through the team this week. They don't play until Sunday. They're going up to the Gold Coast. The warmth will just burn it out of them, surely. That's how it works. I'm no
Yeah, it
medical
could
doctor.
be some late out, so we'll have to watch that one. I could have given him the illness, maybe. I don't know. Out in Essendon. I was pretty sick over the weekend.
How many of them were you tongue kissing?
Yeah, a few. Yeah.
It was clearly a lot. Because it spread like wildfire. What else were you doing?
Nothing.
All right. That's the teams. Supercoach, tips, thoughts, vibes. Because it's a very big vibes week. We are best 18 because it is the buyers, obviously.
I'm trying to count if I
Fraser,
actually have 18. This is a struggle.
do you have 18 stats?
I need to make some trades.
Oh, geez.
I'll be right back.
I've already made my trades. I brought in Fraser for Darcy Jones.
Yep.
Upgraded Rosie to Butters because I want no bar of Rosie with that hammy.
Fair.
And Jordan Sweet's gone out to basically make that happen. So, what is it? Cohen Livingston finally makes his debut on my bench. He's owned by, what was it, 23% of
Yeah,
Supercoaches
23%,
now?
and he's not even going to play. That's just
Amazing.
hilarious.
So, peace out, Jordan Sweet. But because Soldo was obviously named, Sweet was admitted for the Thursday night footy game. So, pack her up. VC vibes, Butters, Walsh in that Thursday night game, sure.
Yep.
Outside of that, Dacos and Bont are the obvious ones.
Dacos, I think, with so many players out, it's like even like Pendles gets around 20 touches.
Yep.
There's another 5 or 10 towards Dacos, so I'd go Dacos.
In terms of Supercoach, I actually love that for Lockie Sullivan as well. If you brought him in as
Oh,
one of
yeah.
your rookies,
We'll get more midfield minutes.
You should get way more midfield minutes. The captaincy spot for me, it's probably just going to be hoping that my VC rolls pretty nicely because then you've got Gawn against
will go
Freo.
well. Yeah. Well, he dominated Marshall, who I
Exactly.
thought was the second best ruck. So you got to go Gawn.
If you've got Marshall, I'd probably throw him against West Coast as well because Marshall's been absolutely crushing it. Outside of that, Zerrett against the Suns, we did see, I don't know, like despite Carlton having a million touches last week, Walsh didn't score that highly, but he also butchered it with the ball a bit. So maybe Zerrett, keep him in your back pocket. Sarong maybe as well.
Yeah, he always goes well. Yeah.
If you're looking at the projections, I think Sarong's at 124, which is the same as Butters. So it's like shrug emoji apparently at that point. But Gornicus, Maximus Aurelius Gornicus, his full name is at 130. So I'm probably just going to go with Gorn. Last week, I did the coin flip basically between Dacos and Sarong as the VC. Ended up on Sarong. Dacos rips off 130. I would have taken that.
At least you got I bloody Zorko. He got 66.
And then I got the awesome Gornicus one. So
nice.
All right, but that'll do it for AFL Today for today. We'll be back on Sunday for AFL Today to wrap up an amazingly, awesomely set up round 12. As evidenced by our tips here, Stats Boy. 5 different in 7
Very
games.
different,
Not bad.
yeah. It's going to be hard.
Thank you for jumping on those, Stats Boy.
No,
At least
you
you showed up to work, unlike Alex.
Always. Thank you. Cop that.
He's sitting there at home going, bro, I only did 77 shows. Blah, blah, blah. You're like, all right, buddy, settle down. Just don't punch that wall again. But
With
anyway,
Clarko, yeah.
if you're going to go punch a wall, just remember to
Go to
also
Clarko's room.
smash a like across all the socials to see us doing lots of fun stuff. That's what we do. That's right. You can see it on YouTube, Facey, Instagram, TikTok, X. On Facey, it is the Sports Today Show. Go check it out. You can also check out the Cricket Today podcast, the Football Today podcast, NBA Australia. It didn't have a show today. It was weird, but there's no game. So back on deck for Friday. That'll be fun. NBA Australia and NFL Australia, as well as hold all tickets for all your GGs. Subscribe, star, and like. Subscribe. That was a good one. All of those shows across your podcast apps as well. Get around them all like Dale Lewis trying to give a talk at my high school in the late 90s.
That is a weird reference.
And everyone going, all right, Dale Lewis.
Do you have any
good?
footage of that?
Are you good? And he's like, I don't know, man, to be honest. Anyway, I loved him. He was great. Good on you, Dale Lewis. Proud Ballarat, man.
Get him on the show.
That's it. We'll catch you later this week. And to wrap up round 12 for you for AFL Today, in between then, have a great weekend of footy. Because remember, look after yourselves and footy's back.